Good morning. My name is Eric. I work with Forte. And today I'd like to discuss some things that you can do to help alleviate some tension associated with both standing and sitting posture. And it's really to help correct posture more so than anything else. I'm going to show you a series of exercises that I like to teach people that do help them in these cases. These are pretty common exercises, pretty simple. I stayed dressed as though I was going to be working because that way you can see that this is something you can do at work relatively easily in business casual clothing or otherwise that will help just take away some tension for you throughout the day. I also am sitting in my desk chair. You can see that my desk chair has a little bit of a lumbar support, this forward rounding position. I do recommend that for people that do sit for long periods of time. And when they can't use a lumbar support in their chair, I often will tell them to grab an old hand towel, something that is folded up typically that way and fold it into a sort of square position and then put that behind the lower back to give them a little bit of support instead. And that works well on firmer types of seats. So like in movie theaters, at work, if you go to church, things along those lines, even restaurant seats, these work pretty well and they're easy enough to carry around. If you're sitting on your couch, I would say something more like a throw pillow, but that's a different discussion. So again, one of the things that happens a lot when we sit for a long period of time, or even if we're at a standing desk, we will tend to slouch a little bit. And there are a few things that you can do to correct that. One is make sure the top of your monitor is a little bit higher. I usually recommend aiming top of the monitor with top of the head. But one thing that you can do, or a few things you can do to help control that slouch, the first is a chin tuck. And from the side, it looks like this. All right, we're just bringing the chin straight back. We get this weird double chin thing that a lot of us don't like. We usually hold for about 5 seconds. I'll turn forward so you can see it that way as well. I also show this particular exercise in a different video, so please feel free to look at different ones as well. But again, it's just a straight back tuck here. It's not a chin tuck down toward the chest. It's not a tuck and look up kind of a thing. It's just a straight back tuck. You should feel most of this tension at the base of the skull, a little bit coming across the tops of the shoulders. The next thing that I'll tell people to do, and I'm going to sit forward in my chair a little bit just to give my arms a little bit more movement, is just a shrug type of a movement. So we just shrug the shoulders up and back and then kind of pull those shoulder blades down and then we let it relax. So it's up, back, and down, and then relax. And I usually have people go through 10-ish repetitions of most of these exercises. I'm just showing them to you so that you can use them throughout your day. And you don't have to do them all at once for them to be effective. If you want to do a couple of one at one time of the day and a couple of another at a different time of the day and just periodically switch it up, that's fine. Now we're going to do a shoulder squeeze. So we're just squeezing the shoulder blades back. I'll turn sideways again so you can see this. It's just squeezing back here. I don't want my shoulders to come up. I want to keep them down and relax and just squeeze those shoulder blades together. Stretches out the chest. And again, if you've been spending a lot of time and you tend to slouch in front of the computer like all of us really do, this helps open up the chest and push the back into a different position that just feels good for you at that time. Again, about a 5 to 10 second hold, let it relax. And I usually tell people to do about 10 of them. I'm going to stand up for the others, but you can certainly do a couple of these next two still sitting. One of them, the first one, is just tightening up the tummy. So it's just literally tightening the tummy enough to where you feel just those muscles kick in just a little bit, not enough to where you're holding your breath, not enough to where it's difficult to talk. I'm doing it right now. In fact, I've been doing it the whole time. And you can clearly tell that I can talk while I'm doing it, right? So I'm going to stand up. I'm going to move my chair. And the tummy tightening thing, I'll try to pull my shirt a little bit tighter here. It's going from this sort of relaxed tummy position and just a little bit of tightness there instead. I'll do that again, relaxed tummy, and then just a little bit of tightness. And I'm not tightening this up so much that I'm changing the position of my spine or anything else like that. Just holding it for about 5 seconds longer if you can. Progressively, as you get better at this, we want you to hold it longer, but at least a 5-second hold to start off with, then let it relax and do multiple repetitions. And then I'm going to turn sideways again. Another thing that you can do, and again, this is easier standing, and if you have the luxury, like I do, of a sit-stand desk, that's fantastic because it gives you the opportunity to get up out of sitting for a period of time and just change your position. But one thing you can do is you can practice tightening your tummy and then practice tightening your lower back. And so you kind of, I'll move my hands out of the way here. So you're kind of rocking the back, the pelvis forward and back. And I'm exaggerating. You don't have to go with this big of a movement. It can just be kind of a little back and forth movement. And the intent is just to loosen up those lower back muscles. And again, you can do this sitting. If I were doing it sitting, it kind of looks a little bit more like this. Okay. And I also have people do this side to side. So they're kind of shift one hip, shift the other hip, shift one hip, shift the other hip. So this side to side movement is a fantastic thing to do to help just kind of loosen up right where your pelvis and your back come together. Standing up, it looks a little bit funky. You know, you don't want to probably do this in front of people unless they know what you're doing or you're whatever. But again, something you can do in standing. The next thing that you can't do very well in sitting is just squeezing the glutes, the butt muscles tight. So it's really just kind of pinching those cheeks together. You just hold for about 5 seconds and then you let it relax. And again, just kind of tightening that up. People don't have to see it. Anyone that's not paying any attention, and most people aren't going to see what you're doing there anyway. And if they do, you can just say, hey, I'm working on my core and I'm working on just getting my hips. What happens when we sit for too long, our hips get kind of stuck in this position. As we tighten up those glute muscles, it pushes our hips forward, gives an active stretch to the fronts of the hips. And those glutes are really helpful for that particular purpose. So again, about 5-10 seconds, then let it relax. And if you can do it while you're also holding the tummy tight, you're kind of killing 2 birds with 1 stone. Now, again, if you can stand up, great. If you can't, you can do this sitting down, but I like to have people go up on their toes and back on their heels and up on their toes and back on their heels and just kind of get their feet a little bit active. You can do this in shoes. I am doing it in shoes. If for whatever reason you don't have the opportunity to stand up, you can certainly, again, sitting down, you can raise up onto, I want black floor and black shoes. Raise up onto your toes, raise up onto your heels, and just kind of going back and forth. I think everybody can kind of see that happening anyway. So again, you can certainly do that while you're sitting. And again, this last one is really just a standing activity. And what I like people to do in practice is just put their feet together. This is a very simple balance activity. And learn to find center. Okay, your hands don't have to do anything here, but shift yourself back a little bit to where you feel all of your weight on your heels. Stay there for a few seconds. See how your body is reacting to that. Then shift your weight forward to where most of your weight is on your toes. Again, see how your body is reacting to that. And then and progressively shift yourself back and forth just a smidge until you find that you have an equal balance between heels and toes. So really the whole bottoms of your feet should feel like there's pressure on them as you're doing this. The tendency for most people is that they tend to, lean too far forward or they tend to lean too far backward. And that's part of why people have balance issues. So this is just a good activity to learn to find center. And again, just gives you an excuse to stand up for a short period of time and contracting those tummy muscles, contracting those glute muscles, and then just practicing the general pieces of posture that all of us should learn and practice. And that really, I'll turn sideways for you here, should be ears over shoulders, shoulders over hips, hips relatively over knees and ankles. And so if I'm sitting too far back, my knees are a little too far back, my hips are a little too far back. If I'm sitting too far forward, you can see that similarly. So I really want to aim for right about center. And there, ideally, my posture looked pretty good and I didn't look too rigid or anything along those lines. I hope this was informative and helpful for you. If you have questions, please look to Forte for some answers. We're happy to help. Thank you for your time and have a good rest of your day.
We here at Forte would like to thank you for watching our video. If you liked it, please give us a thumbs up. If you would like to follow more of the offerings from Forte, please subscribe below. And don't forget to share us with your friends. Enjoy well-being.